What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL video on Fantasy Football Scout. Team selection time. Yes, the FA Cup results are not all quite in, but we are starting to think ahead to Game Week 24. Obviously, there's a double game week for that week anyway, plus a few more game weeks in advance to look at as well. And Gianni is considering a wild card this week, so it's going to be a big video. We're going to talk about the current team, how the team did last week, and also what the wild card draft is looking like, why that is being thought of for Game Week 24. And I know there's a lot of people out there looking to wild card over this week, next week, or 26. So it should be an interesting discussion. I'm going to try and talk him in or out of it, depending on how I'm feeling when we get going. So how are you feeling today?
Yeah, good. I mean, I'm well excited about the idea of a wild card. If I do it, it will be a 24 wild card. I'm not even considering a 25 or 6 wild card. So it's now or never, or it's now or way later. But yeah, I'm all right. Again, very blank average game week. Captaincy fail killed me a bit because all the other captaincy options came in. But yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, we'll talk about that now. Yeah, it was an interesting week, and I think the wildcards. Yeah, I'm really interested to hear why you're going for 24 because I got to be honest, I haven't got mine anymore, so I've not really looked into it in a great deal. I'm kind of waiting to see what everyone else does. I've got a few thoughts, but yeah, we'll get into that in just a second. Just before we do, we are partnered with Fantasy 5. If you haven't already checked them out, there's a very handy link in the description below. Super easy to play. You've just got to make 5 picks from 5 different matches. Obviously, you can use your FPL knowledge towards picking the players that are going to win, and if you do get 5 picks that all come in, you win 10 grand. Easy as that. They just have to beat their score, so you can see on screen now, for example, Harry Kane is 6.5. He has to get at least 7 points or more to beat his target, and the FPL score the scoring is exactly the same as FPL but without the bonus points, so very easy to pick up, completely free to play, and 10 grand up for grabs. So give it a go, link in the description. Let's have a look at your team for last week. So yeah, 63, which is a good score, but the average was very high. The average was 58, and like you said, the problem was nearly everybody that was kind of highly owned did well, or at least got something. I mean, Salah and Fernandes, it wasn't particularly high scores, but they did return. And Antonio, to be honest, I had Antonio ahead of Bamford and Fernandes for captain last week, and West Ham just. It's like they just didn't really turn up. Like, what did you watch that match? What did you make of it?
Oh, I watched it, and I watched West Ham, of course, last night, and then without Antonio. But they have their attacking abilities seem to have dropped a bit in recent weeks. I mean, the thing this season, Andy. I mean, we've always known captaincy is important. We've always known it's 3 points, right? Like your captain's on this week, it's 10 free points. Your captain Gundogan, it's 13 free points. Massive points that are on offer every week. They're free. I can't name you anyone that's had a worse season in terms of captaincy than me. And it's not a luck versus skill thing. It is. It's dreadful decision making on my part. Every week I seem to go for the wrong guy. And if that's the most popular captaincy option, which it has been in the last few weeks, we've seen Bruno and Salah blanks when they've been the popular choices. I've gone with them, and I've kind of gone, it's fine because everyone else blanks together. But it's every week, Andy. Like it's the biggest reason why my rank is so poor, and there's a few reasons why. But captaincy is definitely the big one this week. I mean, look, this week the week just gone. There's 5 or 6 options. Loads went Son, Gundogan, Salah, Fernandes, Bamford. They all returned, and of course, the only one that didn't was Antonio. My boy. But it has to change. I'm done moaning about it. It's a long season and it will sway. There's still a lot of game weeks left to try and jump on some good captaincy options. So yeah, there we go. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in that game, honestly. I don't even remember. I think I watched it. Yeah, he didn't, did he? There's hardly any chances at all. I think Souček was probably even more dangerous, and he was hardly like his normal dangerous self either. So, yeah, it's just one of those games. Fulham just did really well, and West Ham just never kind of got going at all, and obviously that's kind of translated now into the FA Cup game. Although without Antonio, West Ham just feels like a completely different side. So we'll have to monitor that going forward. Like, he is flagged, obviously you can see on screen at the moment. Moyes has said that I don't know if the word was doubt, but he said they're going to have to look at him before Sheffield United. He didn't say, he's just being rested, he'll be fit for Sheffield United. He kind of made. He's put a doubt in my mind as an owner anyway. Just really quickly before we look at the team for next week, on captaincy, do you find that, because I recently had like 3 in a row after doing okay before that, do you find that when it's going badly, you start overthinking it, or do you just try and stick to basics? Like, do you worry more about captaincy because it hasn't gone well?
Yeah, I build it up far too much. And you said you've had 3 blanks, which for you, Andy, is probably like terrible this season to have 3 captaincy blanks. I think I'm on blank number 7 or 8 in a row. And before that, I probably had 1 return and then another 7 or 8. Like it's literally embarrassing. Run over. But no, I've definitely this season Antonio was a conscious effort like last week. I felt like it was the week to go a little bit differential, and it definitely wasn't. And I was on when we did this call last week, the armband was on Bamford, and I was pretty set on Bamford, and then I changed it to Antonio. I just didn't fancy Bruno or Son because look, if I knew Kane was going to be fit, and Mourinho did hint at that, but I thought it was Mourinho mind games, then I would have gone with Son. But yeah, I think I probably overthink it a little bit. But again, a lot of my blanks have been the most popular pick blanks. So there's been a reason why I've been going there. It's just been one of those seasons where I've got it wrong. In years gone by, I've smashed captaincy and I've probably been really lucky with it. So it's just one of those things, isn't it?
I think with Bruno as well. Like, I mean, that goal was special, right? It was like,
Yeah.
who else? There's not many players in the league that would even think about doing that, let alone be able to execute it. But again, outside of that, he didn't really like have too many chances. It kind of came from other players in that game. So yeah, it's just one of those weeks. Like, it wasn't high score. Sometimes like you get kind of low captaincy scores, it doesn't really do anything for your rank. But if everyone gets like 7-8 extra points, it kind of does build up. So look, it is what it is. The only thing we can do is keep going for next week, right? So this is the team as it stands. Gundogan captain. I mean, everybody's going to do that, right? Every man and their dog is going to captain Gundogan. I think there'll be a lot of Burnley defender captains and Bruno, I'm sure, as well, because he's got West Brom. But yeah, we probably don't need to talk a huge amount about captaincy, but we'll touch on it.
Hey, if Gundogan starts tonight, they might not captain him though, Andy. That's the only reason they might not. I don't know. What's your thought on that? If Bruno starts in the FA Cup, that might change people's minds.
Yeah, if Gundogan starts, maybe. I just think without De Bruyne, he's not going to drop Gundogan. Like, I think we talk a lot about Pep rotation, right? And obviously it's a thing, right? I've got Cancelo and Stones as well. Would I be shocked if in any of the double game weeks they only play once? Not at all. But with Gundogan, there is certain players like Diaz, Ederson, and De Bruyne when he's fit, who pretty much start every game. Of course, De Bruyne at some points does get a rest, but it's not because he plays 2 or 3 in a row. It's because he plays like 8, 9, 10 in a row. And I just think without De Bruyne, Gundogan just goes nowhere from that team. And he's playing so well as well. Like he's doing so well that I don't think Pep drops him. But of course, yeah, if he plays FA Cup 90 minutes, then maybe it puts a few doubts in my mind, but probably not enough to take the captaincy off because he's just been so good. So we'll see. Obviously, FA Cup is still going to sway our decisions quite a bit, but we've got to start thinking ahead anyway. Like, the thing is, obviously, we have to wait for FA Cup to finish before we finalise our decisions, but that's only then like a day before the deadline, and we know how much planning goes into our teams, that we've got to start thinking about it. So you're pretty well set, right? You've got the 3 defenders with double game. You've got Gundogan for a double game, and you've got Wood potentially going to play, could be injured. I'm going to assume that Calvert-Lewin's coming into this team. Like he is for everyone.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, my transfer this week's going to be Calvert-Lewin to Antonio, unless we hear Antonio's fit. And if not, I'd go take Chris Wood out. But DCL is coming in as my one and only transfer if I stick with this strategy. Because, I mean, you look at this team, it doesn't look like a team that needs to wildcard. Knowing my strategy is bench boost 26, you look at it and go, okay, all these guys other than Bamford are going to play in 26. I do need to sell Dyer and I do need to sell Wood and Antonio, but I've got 3 transfers between now and then. Oh, and I do need a second goalkeeper. So that's 4 transfers. So it means I've got to take 1 4-point hit ahead of a bench boost. But other than that, it looks pretty well stocked. The only thing this team doesn't fully do is maximize the doubles in 24 and 5. And yes, I've still got 5 or 6 players playing twice in 24, so it's nice, but it could be 7 or 8 on like it would be on a wild card. And then in 25, I don't have the Leeds or Southampton players. Again, if I wildcarded, I've got Bamford, but I'd have Bamford and Rafinha. I might have a Danny Ings. So it gives you a little bit more to exploit those doubles if I do wildcard. But it's not, doesn't look like a pressing matter. It's just more, I need to do something because of my rank. And when else am I going to use it?
Yeah, I think obviously people will always say to save the wild card, right? This comes up every single year, and like most of the time, it doesn't necessarily work as well as it has this year to use it early. The problem I foresee is like in 26, like if everyone's doubling and the best fixtures are City, well, straight away that's 3 players that are in everybody's team anyway. So I don't really, I guess with a wild card, you want to try and attack, and you've got to try and pick where you do that. And like, if everyone's got triple city, everyone's looking to get Son and Kane in for their good double, and the Villa have got pretty. They should have a pretty good double in 26 as well. And obviously, you've already got Martinez, you've already got Grealish, so that's covered too. It almost gets to the point. I was chatting to Mark about this the other day. It gets to the point where you're kind of almost afraid to change the team because it looks so good for what's about to come. So yeah, it is a tricky one because you are well set up, but then when else do you use it? Like, have you considered? I mean, it's difficult, I suppose, because you've got Dyer against City this week, which isn't ideal, and obviously you don't have that second playing keeper, but you'll have to bring them in at some point anyway. Have you considered trying to get the bench boost out before you wildcard, or is that just too many moves at this point? Because, like you said, you've only got one Leeds at the moment.
Yeah, no, bench boost in 26, I'm pretty set for. Like, the team looks like it's a team full of doublers in 26. And yeah, Dyer needs to go because he's been dropped, and I do need that second keeper. But I've got a couple of transfers between now and then anyway. So even if I take out Dyer, Foster, Antonio, and Wood, that's only 1 4-point hit. That's 4 transfers when I've got 3. So no, I don't. I'm not considering an earlier bench boost than that at all. And again, I'm not considering a wild card next week either. It's this week or not.
Why is that? Why this week and not next?
I don't really see I know there's quite a lot, and I must admit I've not listened to people's pods or shows talking about wild cards, and I quite like that. I don't really want to. I want to stick with what I think. Otherwise, I'll be swayed too easily, perhaps. If you wild card in 25, you're not making the most of some brilliant doubles in 24. So you can't jump on. You can only really exploit Leeds and Southampton, which I would have anyway, Leeds, and I'm not really a big fan of going big on Southampton. So yes, you can prepare yourself for a bench boost in 26, but you can do the same in 24. And if you go in 24, you can also jump on double City attack. You can also jump on double Burnley defence if you want to. You can go double Everton and go Dean and DCL. The doubles in 24 are so much better than the one double in 25. I don't see the upside in going for the double for the wild card in 25. If you're going to wild card, stock up on those doublers, and you can do that by going 24.
Interesting. And how many free transfers you got this week? Just one, is it?
Just the one, yeah. So
okay.
DCL comes in.
Okay, all right. Let's look at the wild card then. So this is so straight away. I'll just, in case anyone misses it, because sometimes you look at a team and think that looks really good, and you wonder how it can be so good if it's missing. Is it missing a certain player? I've written it on the screen, but obviously this is the no Salah draft. This is your kind of current draft, and obviously for anyone that wildcards, you come up with a million drafts. But right now, this is the one you're looking at. Let's talk about no Salah first of all, right? Because I don't think it's as crazy as it sounds, first of all, because I am even considering transferring him out in Game Week 25. But I want to hear your thoughts. Why are you thinking of going without him?
He won't be a captaincy option for the next few weeks. That's guaranteed. Like, I'm not captaining him in 24, 5, or probably not in 6. Yes, they have a double in 6, but Spurs and City will have, I think, better doubles. Until last week, he was on 7 blanks in 8 game weeks. Yes, he got the brace against West Ham and he got the goal off the back. So what's that? It was 7 in 8. So it's now, 8 in 10. This is a 12.5 million asset. It's banking 8 in 10. Can't really afford that at the moment when there's so many other options. Liverpool have looked out of sorts. Jota's back training. By around the time of the double, I expect Jota to get some minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised, knowing Mane's been out a bit, for Salah to miss 1 or 2 games. Of course, he's not a rotation risk, but around the Champions League as well, Klopp will make some decisions, and some players will miss out, and Salah's been playing a lot recently. Mane hasn't. Jota will be back. And just Liverpool's form, Andy, like, they're not firing. This is not when other teams are. I want Leeds attack. I want City attack. Bruno is still looking good, and then I want to probably go with Son and maybe a Kane in there as well. I've got a bit of money in the bank, and look, Sterling can very easily become Salah, but likewise, Sterling can become Foden, and Rafinha can become Salah if needed. So there's lots of flexibility there. Likewise, someone like I'll stick on the Salah point. Look, there's premiums delivering. And he at the moment isn't one of them. Don't think we should fear it.
Yeah, okay. So I've just brought his fixtures up on another screen, right? So I'm gonna so they're Leicester away this week in Game Week 24. Then it's Everton at home, Sheffield United away in 26. Now you probably will have another double. That will probably be Chelsea at home, and then Fulham at home in 27. So let's forget about Captaincy because you're right. If there's double game weeks, then the only one to consider him for is the one where he has a double. And I think, like you said, a lot of people will probably go elsewhere. Maybe that makes him a bit of a differential, but Sheffield United away and Chelsea at home are not necessarily easy games. Do you see him hauling in any of those games? So Leicester away, Everton at home, and then Fulham at home. That will be the single game week fixtures.
The only fixture I really dislike there as a non-Salah owner is the Fulham fixture. But yeah, and it's at Anfield. But looking back to, was it just around Christmas, they went to Craven Cottage and really, really struggled. And Salah, I think, scored a late penalty and we all had Salah captain. Probably not me if he scored. Look, Fulham can do fairly well defensively. We saw Fulham, they'd gone on a bad defensive run until the West Ham fixture when they shut Antonio and the rest out and they went back to a back four. I think Fulham are looking a little bit more solid than we perhaps give them credit for. And look, Liverpool looked out of sorts. And in between all those fixtures, Andy, we can't forget they've got the Leipzig game. They've got 2 legs against Leipzig stuck in between there. So it's a lot of fixtures for a guy that's been playing a lot of minutes too. Maybe I'll bring him back for the double and maybe I'll bring him back for 27, double and 27. But for the next 2 weeks, Leicester and Everton, very happy not to own him.
Yeah, and I guess obviously the one plus, which probably doesn't get talked about enough, is the earlier you wildcard, the more... So there's obviously a pro and a con. The earlier you wildcard, the more game weeks you've got to go before you... Because obviously if you're wildcarding now, it's for 26, right? Yes, it's for 24 and 25, but the big one's 26. So the more weeks you leave in between... Obviously, there's more things that could go wrong. The closer you wildcard to the double, the less chance of that. But at the same time, when you wildcard early, you leave yourself with more transfers to kind of fix stuff that does go wrong and maybe even adapt. So obviously, doing it now will give you transfer in 25 and then 26. So you'd have 2 transfers. So looking at this, you've got Luca Dean, Loughton, me. That's your 3 defenders with 4 defenders with a double because obviously Diaz as well. Yeah. Areola's got a double too, and I actually think Fulham's double is quite good. Yeah. The teams they're facing haven't been scoring. Is it Burnley and Everton? It is Burnley and Everton, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely Burnley is one of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Burnley Everton. I'll check.
It is Everton. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, because Calvert-Lewin's got Fulham at home. So I don't think that's a bad pick actually at all, especially if you need a second keeper. So that's 5. I'm just counting in. Then you got Calvert-Lewin is 6. Oh, and obviously Gundogan and Sterling is 8. So you've got 8 doubles for 24, and then Bamford, Ings, and Rafinha in place. I guess the first thing I'd ask is, have you got any transfers pre-planned, like to get another Leeds player in, or what's the plan for 26? Because Luca Dean and Calvert-Lewin might have a double game week 26, which I guess is part of the thinking, right?
Yeah, it depends what happens with Everton in 26. If they get the double, then Dean and Calvert-Lewin stay. If they don't, then I'd probably look to sell both of those guys. Justin is one I'd quite like to pick up for the double. Leicester have an okay double, and I quite want Justin back. And then... Yeah, that's one booked in. And again, that could be for a Burnley defender whose fixtures swing. They don't have the best. We don't even know if Burnley have to double in 26. We'll know after the Brighton-Leicester game tonight in the FA Cup. So that could be one booked in. And then, I might shift things around in my forward line. I'd quite like to bring in... Rafinha could go to Grealish. And I know that needs a bit of money, but I'll have a bit of money. Likewise, Calvert-Lewin could go to a Watkins, or an Ings could go to Watkins. I quite like that Ings space, because Ings is expensive. I was happy to put him in because that could go to Harry Kane, and I could go Kane and Son double for 26. That is something I would like a plan for if the fixtures fall for a good Spurs double in 26. I'd love the idea of going Kane and Son for that double because it will be a nice double if they get it.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Obviously, none of this is set in stone. Still, it's like it's sometimes get a bit annoying to keep talking about it when we don't know for sure what's going to happen. But yeah, obviously we know Everton have got Fulham at home, Man City at home. I'm just looking at potentially they could have Southampton at home and West Brom away potentially in game week 26, which would be massive. And then suddenly you're looking really good with 2 Everton players, and you wouldn't need to get rid of them. One thing you have done here is. You've gone for, obviously, Triple City, everybody's on that, but you've got off the double defence. In fact, you've taken out both the defenders you currently own, Cancelo and Stones, for Diaz instead. So, first question, what's the thinking behind that? And secondly, what's the thinking behind obviously going double attack instead?
Yeah, it seems crazy because they've been so good at the back. And even against Liverpool, they kept a clean sheet. They conceded a penalty, but on another day, that's a clean sheet. The XG against them, I think, was pretty low. Look, It's not that I think double City defense is a bad move at all. I'd be very happy with it, and I've got it if I don't wildcard. It's just an attacking move, Andy. I see there's a greater upside with the goals City are scored. They just went and put 4 past Liverpool at Anfield. Like, that performance was insane. And they've been brilliant in the last few weeks. It's just the upside of going with their attackers. Also, it gives you that extra captaincy option. Yes, Gundogan's a good captaincy option for the next few weeks, but I still feel if you've got Sterling, he's a better one. And going with Sterling and Gundogan allows me to captain Sterling. That's another reason why I like the idea of a wild card. It's partly for that, for the side of Sterling and the captaincy differential of Sterling. And it's also around the Champions League. Like we've talked about Pep and players he will not rotate, ideally. And look, Pep gets a lot of criticism for his rotation. Look back to his time at Barcelona, the players that never miss minutes. Puyol never missed a minute. Messi never missed a minute. Victor Valdez in goal obviously never missed a minute. And I see the City lineup and go, Diaz will barely never miss a minute. And KDB when fit, the same again. You could argue when Sterling's on form, Pep never dropped Sterling. So, and again, Gundogan's fairly safe. Stones, Cancelo, whilst they'll play 8 in 10, they're not 100% safe. I don't like calling those guys rotation risk because they are nailed, but they just will suffer from some rotation. And, of course, there's Champions League, and we can't forget that. And I expect City to do well in the Champs. So Diaz is the safest pick of the defenders. He'll play every week. And then I go for the upside of 2 attackers because it's a bit differential. And I need to go against the template to make some serious gains in my overall rank.
Yeah, I love this move, to be honest. I think, City defence has just been crazy all season, right? Their numbers are ridiculous. But it is worth kind of mentioning that they've played in the last few weeks Brighton, Palace, Villa, and Villa did come close a few times. West Brom, obviously, they smashed the hem. Sheffield United never troubled them. Burnley were never going to trouble them either. So they have had some really good fixtures, right? And that's not me sitting here saying, well, they've got lucky. They've had good fixtures. That's the only reason they kept clean sheet. Obviously, they are a great team. But coming up now, they've got Spurs, Everton away, Arsenal away, Man United at home. Now, they have double game week. So obviously, for anyone like me that's got no wild card, there's probably no reason to take them out. But I do think if you're going to take that kind of jump to get rid of them, then this is the time to do it. Not get rid of them, but just reduce the amount you have. So you're still covered with one. And I think the one thing people forget is, yes, everybody owns Man City players, but obviously the ceiling is, apart from maybe Cancelo, the ceiling's not massively high, right? It's 6 to 8 points, just like any other defender. So there's other ways to get those points. So I really like this move. I think anyone that's wildcarding should strongly consider Sterling. Again, obviously it depends whether it blocks a different move. Like you said, it could be Salah, and instead of Luka Dean, you could have Stones. So you could still have your triple City and have Salah. Yeah. But I agree. I think any week where City is the best captaincy, having Sterling over Gundogan, apart from maybe the penalties, which we don't even know who they're going to land with now, I think Sterling is the better pick. So I really like that. I think that is the way to go on wildcard.
If I need the money and if I don't have the bottle to go without Salah, Andy, there's a chance Salah comes in, and if Foden is rested tonight, Foden comes in and I go Foden, Gundogan. It's not as sexy as Sterling, and there's the whole will he miss games. But if you look at how City have relied on Foden in recent weeks and how Pep is now giving him 90 and playing him in all the big games in a variety of roles and trusting him with the false 9 role, which he hadn't until the weekend, then I just wonder if funds are tight, then Sterling could become Foden. But again, Gundogan is set. And I think Diaz is set. I mean, I could go Cancelo for the upside, but again, I think I just want to know that my City player is always going to play, and Diaz will.
Yeah, I don't think Diaz is a bad move at all. I mean, obviously, if Diaz and Cancelo start the same match, then obviously you'd always rather have Cancelo. But you're right, Diaz is definitely the safer pick in a great defence, right? No one wants to come off City defence completely. The Foden, I know what you're saying about Foden. He started 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 5. The one he didn't in the league was Burnley. Obviously, probably not so needed there. I just don't know about him. You just know he could play 3 games of his life and then he still misses out the next one. And I just think if you're wildcarding, do you want that worry already? And especially if City have 3 double game weeks, surely the money, like you just said, Sterling minutes are surely higher than Foden, Chad. So I always get the Foden appeal. I know why people want it, because he can haul. He is so good and he is so cheap. But he is that rotation risk. I think when you get him in, you have to be prepared for that. Obviously, though, if you're bench so you've got a good bench, so you potentially could cover it. But yeah, I like the Sterling differential. Just looking elsewhere, I don't think there's really a huge amount more to say. I think I quite like the team. Obviously, one thing about Wildcard in this week is you would go for double burning defence, and you're kind of stuck with them. And if they don't double, their fixtures are not fantastic, I don't think, from memory.
No,
because
they massively turn.
Yeah, so how quickly would you look to deal with them?
Yeah, so I'd keep one Burnley after my bench. I'd play one on a bench boost in 26, but because the fixtures turn in 26, I would be selling one and I'd be bringing in a good 26 defender. So someone like Justin, I think, will have quite a nicer double. So Justin would come in for me, for example. And Loughton, remember, after a bench boost, you have a really strong bench. I'll quite happily have Loughton as bench fodder. Again, targets there for that reason. I won't have a wild card post bench boost if I go down this route, which means I'll have the two keepers. Another reason why I would never consider Pope and Martinez, which I'm seeing in so many wild card drafts, but also so many teams. You're going to be left with a headache every week if you have Pope and Martinez and you don't have a wild card to get out of it. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have 5.5 million goalkeeper on your bench. Like that's too much for me. So if my second keeper will be a Guaita, an Areola, or a McCarthy, that'll be a 4.5.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think that's spot on again because like you don't want to just like weaken your bench boost, but at the same time there is 12 other weeks to think about. And I'll tell you now, as someone this week who has Son, Wan-Bissaka, Martinez on my bench and is still trying to deal with De Gea, it's not been a bad thing because he's had good fixtures, but at some point I need to make these downgrades while also trying to attack the doubles that everyone else is going to be able to attack. And I really wish my squad structure was a little bit different now. And I would say yours is perfect because you can do me to Justin, which looks like a good move to me if Leicester double. But you're only stuck with Loughton and Target on your bench. Whereas for me, for example, Sofao is my cheapest defender. Everyone else is nearly 5 million plus. And it's not really hurt me so far, but I do think it will for future planning. And part of my moves now are to get rid of them. So I like your thinking. I was just thinking about squad structure. It's not really obviously you've got 8 good attackers, but when 2 of them are Rafinha and Gundogan, they're so cheap anyway. You could almost argue Rafinha is a bench option when he's anyway. So yeah, I really like it. It'd be interesting to see if you do it. Obviously, you can follow Gianni on Twitter. I'm sure you'll let us know if you activate that wild card. What's going to be the tipping point? Actually, I didn't really ask that.
City's lineup tonight. Who gets rested? If I see a Sterling complete rest, then that really makes me want Sterling and bringing him in for captaincy. I can only really do that on a wild card. And then just the way the double game week fixtures fall. So who gets knocked out in the FA Cup, and just sort of keeping a very close eye on Twitter to see when those games are going to be announced. We don't think there'll be any announcements before this deadline for the double in 26, but we do think that we can follow people on Twitter to go, there's a very good chance that happens. So I guess I'll just be keeping a very close eye and kind of playing the odds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll know who's going to blank in 29. Therefore, we can have a good, educated guess at who's going to play in 26 double as well. So yeah, I really like the team. I think when we do these videos, I know we've been doing this one quite long, but obviously wildcards are a big discussion. I always like to pick it, at least pick something wrong with it, but it's difficult. I think even with Burnley, if you've already got a move to get rid of me, then yeah, keeping one is not a problem. And I really like the Sterling move. Danny Ings, I'm not sure about, but if he has 2 or 3 doubles in the next few weeks, then it's hard to look past him, and I will probably be targeting him as well. So yeah, good team. We'll just end with my fantasy fight.
Just before you go into that, very quickly, because I forgot to say, you asked me what determined it, and the one thing I've not mentioned is Antonio, Wood, 2 injuries. Dyer has been dropped. I need to see where these 3 guys are at, and Friday press conferences are going to help me. So again, if I find out Antonio, Wood are out, again, that forces my hand a bit. What I don't want to be doing is taking 4 and 8 point hits when I've got this good wild card set up. And again, Dyer might play midweek for Spurs, have a worldie, and then he's back in the 11. But if he's not, then I want rid. So yeah, those 3 transfers hamper me.
Yeah, I've just put your team back up to show people. So obviously, yeah, Wood's probably not a long-term option anyway. Again, I'd say that as a Wood owner, and Antonio's fixtures turn a bit, although they do play Leeds in 27. But I don't think at this point we can hold players for a game week in 4 weeks when they don't double. It's just too difficult. So I get that. And also, I think people do maybe early on in the season it's a little bit different. I'll just take a -8, I'll just take a -4. But I think when you can avoid those hits and also attack 2 or 3 double game weeks at once, I think that's a good move. And if it backfires, it backfires. But if the logic is there, then what more can you what more can you really go with? So yeah, I really like it. I think it's well thought through and looks decent to me. We'll see if it pays off. We'll find out if you do it. We'll find out next week. I have a feeling from the way you've talked about it, you're much closer to doing it than you are to not doing it.
I think you're probably right. And in my head, I keep telling myself I'm 50% likely, but in reality, I'm getting excited about it, which makes that 50 70. One thing I haven't done is click the button. So I've not caught all the player price rises. So, there's players like Loughton and DCL that have gone up in price that I could have gone with, but forget about that. I'm very happy to make a late call. It just means that I'll be spending a little bit more money than I could have done if I pressed a wildcard button or made those transfers 4 or 5 days ago, which I know others have, and they fully committed to it. I'm not ready to fully commit, and I won't be till Thursday.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I don't think making a hoodie move this week is anywhere near a good idea. But some people have done it. Hopefully, it pays off for them. All right, so we will end on the fantasy 5 picks. So this is the site. You just have to make 5 picks for 5 teams before the deadline. So you see the deadline is 5:30 on the 13th of February. So you've got plenty of time to sign up. Link in the description below. So yeah, points target on screen. That's what they have to beat. So obviously Jesus is 9.5. He has to get 10 or more. It's based on the FPL scoring. So I like to try and pick players that only need 1 return. So, for example, Ben Davies is 2.5. Now, I don't necessarily expect Spurs to get a clean sheet, but he would only need either a clean sheet or an assist in order to get his return. So, and by the way, I can change these before the deadline, but I don't think Reguilon's going to be back. And Lloris, for example, is on 4.5. So you can't quite see it on the screen. I can't scroll down far enough. But Lloris is 4.5. So I think, given the way that Mourinho is going to set up, which is just to kill the game, I'm going to go for Ben Davies for now. I might go back to a Man City attacker because that would be just more exciting. Brighton versus Villa. Brighton obviously been defending really well so far recently. All their defenders would need more than 1 return though, so I don't think I can go there. I'm just looking now. I think I have to go for an attacker. Who are you backing, right? Brighton to score goals or Villa to score goals in this one?
Villa.
Yeah, I always think Villa.
So, I mean, Watkins and Grealish will be high, I'm guessing. But what about, is Barkley considerably lower than those guys?
Barkley's on 7.5, the same as Grealish. So I think I'm just going to go for Grealish because Watkins is 6.5, 2 returns. I think Grealish with his assist, he's the one I'm going to go for. Then the match we just kind of, one of the players we just talked about, Southampton versus Wolves. So obviously Danny Ings is in there. Again, all the defenders need more than 1 return. So I prefer to avoid them when that is the case. So I think I don't know about Danny Ings. I think he's probably deserved more goals than he's got recently. I don't know if he's necessarily been playing really, really well, but I think he's been unlucky. So I'm going to go for Danny Ings. He would have to get 2 returns, but definitely possible. Man United versus West Brom. I would have maybe gone for Diagne, or however you pronounce it, for West Brom, but he has to get 2 returns. I just don't see that at all against Man United. I think we've got as good a chance as any of getting a clean sheet in this one, right? Should be. One player I didn't mention on my wildcard that I like and could go instead of Ings, off the back of his rest last night, Cavani becomes an option for the next couple of weeks. Yeah. Short-term punt on Cavani, I like. Okay, let's see what Cavani is. He's on 9.5, so he would only need 2 returns still. He'd only need 2 goals. Obviously, a goal and assist wouldn't do it, I don't think. Yeah, it would be 9, wouldn't it? I'm going to go for Cavani, 2 goals. I think, West Brom, they're there for the taking. And then lastly, Arsenal versus Leeds. So I'm going to back Leeds here. I already know that before even looking at their points. Like Dallas is playing.
Is it Rafinha or Bamford?
Yeah, so Bamford would only need 2 returns, and so would Rafinha. I think I'm just going to go for Bamford. I think he's been playing so well right now. And then that is it. You just have to confirm your selection. That's mine on screen, so I'll confirm mine in just a second. That's how easy it is. Link in the description if you want to play it. Just pick 5 picks, win 10 grand. What more could you want? Gianni, thank you for joining me today. I know it was a long one, but it was good to get all that talking.
It was great to get the talking. And guys, interested to know what you think. So please do comment on this video and tell me if I'm absolutely mental with that wildcard draft. I'll be reading every comment, so be nice. And yeah, look forward to chatting next week with hopefully a big green off the back of a wildcard, because I feel like I'm talking myself into it here. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how it goes. Make sure you give the video a like and hit subscribe if you're new around here. And also follow us on Instagram. Loads of great content over there if you're not already following us. I know loads of people that are obviously FPL managers are on Instagram, so go and give us a follow. There's basic content all day, every day. So yeah, give us a follow over there. We'll be back either later today or tomorrow with another video. There's plenty more to come this week. So hit subscribe, hit notify. We'll see you soon.